You're watching Virginia This Morning.
Well, when it comes to financial planning, there are age milestones that are very, very important. Richmond money expert Bryan is here to tell us which birthdays we should be watching out for and what we need to do as those ages approach. Hi, JB.
How are you?
I'm
It's so
doing
good
well,
to see
thank
you.
you.
Hall of Fame, Cheryl Miller. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much. Just following your footsteps, trying to be like you.
You know, and I'm getting you ready for when you really are chilling in your Hall of Fame status.
That's right. Once I retire and start looking forward to these things. So we're not talking about 16. We're not talking about 21. The first benchmark is 59 and a half. And anybody who has a 401k should know 59 and a half.
Yes, true. That's a good point. I know you're like, I know about that one.
I know that one.
With the 59 and a half, it's the first age where you could actually start taking money out of your IRA, or they're called qualified retirement plans at work, and you can take them out without any tax penalty. It's still a taxable event, but you don't have the early withdrawal IRS tax penalties involved.
Right, because you can lose 10%.
That's right. You can lose 10% in tax penalties when you do your tax return
early.
So a lot of times people don't even think about that. It hits them at tax time and they go, "Oh, I took out an early withdrawal," or they promised themselves they would pay it back. You know, they'll give you 60 days to pay it back, and they never do. Unfortunately, some people do, but the majority of people don't. So they're faced with big tax penalties. So 59 and a half is a great time to celebrate half birthdays if you want to start spending your money.
So that's the first benchmark. I'm going to jump all the way to the last benchmark because it's also related to that. It's 70 and a half.
You are so smart. That's why you're in the Hall of Fame. You were right. That's very good. Because 70 and a half, that's when you are required. That's the person like you will be when you grow up that didn't touch it at 59 and a half. And then the IRS said, Cheryl, I mean, you have to do this. So at 70 and a half, they start forcing people who really are good savers to start paying, to start taking withdrawals. So to start paying themselves. Isn't that something?
So why do they make us have to take our money out?
Oh, yeah, because they want to make money. They haven't made any money off.
So that's when the taxes due.
That's right, when it's saying, I know that you could save this forever, but we really want you to start taking a required minimum distribution based on your life expectancy. So it's not a whole lot, but it is when you don't want to start taking money out and you have an additional taxable income that you have to take into consideration at 70 and a half.
Is that the same case if you have a non-taxable investment like a Roth IRA? Do you still have to start taking money out?
Yes, the Roth IRA does not have the same requirements as the 70 and a half on the qualified plans. Very good point, because these are just for traditional IRAs. You have that required withdrawal period. On the Roth IRA, because you got no tax deduction for it,
you already paid it.
That's a nice benefit for the Roth IRA. But on those traditional and the 401ks and the TSPs and the work plans, that 70 and a half is going to come into play. And it is a disappointing thing to see clients face when I go, wow, it's almost time. And they're like, oh, you know, but it's a blessing also because it means you have really done a great job of saving because we're living longer. So just as the full retirement benefits for when it used to be at 65, you would get the full benefit. Now it's 65 or 66 or 67.
I know.
Which for you might be 70 because it's going to
depending on when you were
be,
born, it's being pushed up and up and up. All right, let's talk about retirement. 62, everybody's got their eye on that as the first year that you can retire, but that can have some very important implications on your Social Security if you take it at 62.
Very good point again, because you have an actual reduction in your income if you do what's called an early start of your Social Security, which is 62, as you mentioned. At 62, your payment actually could be as much as 30% less than a person who started during their full benefit period that may, say, be 67 and may even be adjusted some years down the road. But right now, the oldest is 67 for full benefit. And as you mentioned with 62, they're receiving an up to 30% penalty on that payment. So it could be 30% less than someone who waited 5 years later.
Now, what if you took it early and then you get to your regular retirement age and you changed your mind and said, I should have waited because I could have gotten more money? Is there a way to do it retroactively? And can't you pay that money back? and then say, I want the full.
Oh, I know. That sounds like you're really good. You're trying to take my job. I always got to switch these two. No, but that's a very good question, because with some work plans, like if the state and things like that, they will allow people to buy back in, to buy their time back. But with the federal government, if you start at 62, you could try to contact them before you get to your full benefit age and maybe try to stop. But you still will have had, they'll do their funny calculations, and then you can wait even to say 70 and a half to start again.
Okay.
But as far as
I thought there was a payback, and say we'll go back to
the age. I mean, there may be. You're right. We should talk to them about that. But that person would really have a lot, or maybe they won the lottery, right? And they wanted to pay it back in. But then they would say, "Look, you're making this too complicated." So yeah, but that's a very good point. We'll have to check into that, because there's some interesting things like with Medicare. I don't know if I talked about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because that's the 65 benchmark is Medicare.
Yeah, and see, with Medicare at 65, you automatically are eligible for the Medicare. But one thing to expand on your point is that even if you don't start getting your money until 70 and a half out of the Social Security for the payment, you actually can start the medical benefits, the Medicare.
And isn't there a penalty if you don't register within a certain amount of time around your 65th birthday?
Oh, they really don't care. You're just not going to get your benefits.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but it would be nice for yourself to give yourself 2 or 3 months in advance. But they're not going to go back and catch you up if you didn't give yourself the required time in advance for it to start on your day, then you should have. You should have. You're going to have to go without that money for that period.
All right, 59 and a half, 62,
That's
65,
right.
70 and a half. We'll mark those on our calendars way down the road, right, JB?
That's right, and start early, and may we both only need it when it's forced.
Absolutely.
When it's forced.
Well, JB has a free financial workshop on all these very topics coming up this Wednesday at noon. You have to pre-register. Just go to WTVR.com/VTM for a link to more information. Lots of good information. I can't be there at noon, so we'll have to talk later on our own.